What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. This is going to be my deck profile for my Wargreymon X Antibody deck that I've been working on. I like this a lot so far. There's a few minor things I'm thinking about tweaking, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy with where this is at. So I wanted to share it with you guys. So starting us off, of course, we have for our eggs 4 copies of Koromon that just gives you the plus 1000 DP. I personally prefer this one. I have seen a lot of people playing the one that gives you, the draw one when attacking, but I just don't really attack at all with this deck. Like 1 or 2 times, I mean, like I attack like 1 or 2, 3 times, ideally in a game. Like I don't really think, it helps that much, but, personal preference, if you want that extra draw power, it is useful. I just like the 1000 DP for like a guaranteed OTK, and I'll kind of elaborate more on that later. But moving on next, for the rookies, we've got, to start off with, 4 copies of Agumon, the promo Agumon, of course, that gives you the plus 2000 DP. And I love this new all red alt art version from the gift box. Now this one's great. This is like our main Digivolution starter. You want to put this right on your egg here to get your stack going, and really starts our OTK combo off. And of course, next up we have 4 copies of the Searcher Agumon. So this one on play lets you search for a Greymon and an Omnimon, which is awesome. It gives you a potential 2 targets that you could get from his searching effect. And then we also have 4 copies of course, the Agumon X Antibody. This is all pretty standard stuff in most of these decks. This one's great, Digivolve it straight on top of him in your raising area to get the extra draw power, or if you play this one, then you could Digivolve him straight on top of that. For the draw and another search, because he also gets his when on play or on Digivolve, so you can search for a Greymon or a X Antibody, so you can get that X Antibody option card. So 4 copies of him. And I really like to get the stack going quickly. I felt like that was one of my main issues I was having personally. So I also threw in 2 copies of the starter deck Agumon. This one also gives you plus 2000 DP when you attack a player. So not quite as good as just the whole turn plus 2000 DP, but still pretty solid. And you're mainly going to be attacking players anyway, so it doesn't really make a huge difference. So I just really like to see one of these to get started with early and get it going quick. Plus, with all the searching Agumons, I felt sometimes I would find my Greymons, but I would be bottom decking all of this guy, and that kind of sucked because, you really want to get him Digivolved first. Anyway, moving on to our champions. Of course, we've got to have 4 copies of the starter deck Greymon for the +1 security check. Love the new alt art of him as well. So this one, is the next step in our combo. Just the basic security +1 is, you need it. It gives us a really quick OTK. And then, of course, next we have 4 copies of the Greymon X Antibody. And this guy is great as well for this inheritable effect here that gives basically just protection from being deleted or returned to the hand or deck by trashing 2 of the same level from your Digivolution sources. So, Agumon and Agumon X Antibody, Greymon and Greymon X Antibody, or 2, Metal Greymon and Metal Greymon X Antibody, etc. So one more level 4 here we have is the Burning Greymon. Better than a Goonimon in my opinion, because he can Digivolve for 1 off of a level 4. And I think that's really key here, because you could actually Digivolve him on top of this Greymon, your X Antibody Greymon, if you need to. If like you're really in a bad spot and you're missing your security Greymon and you had to Digivolve your X Antibody Greymon, you could actually Digivolve this on top of him, and you'd still get to be able to remove 2 of the same level 4s, to get that extra protection that he offers. Also, it's just great to Digivolve him on top of a Tamer to hybrid for game. And yeah, I mean, he's just got some cool utility there. Sadly, even though he's got Greymon in the name, you can't search for him because it specifically says you can't search for Burning Greymon, because I don't think it's Burning Greymon in Japanese. But anyway, so that's our level 4s. Moving on to our level 5s, I've got 2 copies of the EX1 Metal Greymon. This one, it does have a cool when attacking effect to delete something 4,000 or less. Doesn't really come up much. Mainly we want this for the inheritable that gives piercing, which is really, really helpful against decks with blockers. Blockers for this deck are super annoying, so getting this piercing can really be key against certain matchups. And this is one of the things I was talking about maybe tweaking. Sometimes I wish I had 3 of him. But I do like the 2 most of the time. It's just like occasionally I kind of wish there was a 3rd one. So you could play around with that if you want. Next up, we also have 2 copies of the Metal Greymon Alteris mode. This guy is amazing. You can Digivolve him for 0 off of a Metal Greymon, and he counts as a Metal Greymon, so you can actually stack, just Digivolve him on top of himself if you need to. He has the same inheritable as the Wargreymon X Antibody, basically, so that you can, just remove 2 same level sources to protect yourself from being deleted, which is just huge. And he also has this when digivolving effect. If you have a tamer to delete something 5,000 DP or less, that actually does come up sometimes to remove some stuff. Very useful. And sometimes, maybe 3 of him would be nice, but so far I like the 2-2 split on these. I think that is pretty effective and, really gets me what I want most of the time. Moving on next, though, I have 4 copies of the Metal Wargreymon X Antibody. This guy is really like the main one you want to see. And if you have the X Antibody option, you don't actually need to have one of these under him. So that's why I'm running him at 4, because he's really more important to the combo of getting this OTK. More so than them, and like I said, if you have the X Antibody, you don't need them. Ideally, though, you do want them. So anyway, he just has this when digivolving. You can digivolve him 0 on a Metal Greymon, and when digivolving, this Digimon gains security attack +1 for the turn, and then until the end of your opponent's turn, if this Digimon has Metal Greymon or X Antibody in its Digivolution cards, then this Digimon gets +3,000 DP until the end of your opponent's next turn. That actually really comes in handy sometimes if you can't manage to finish it off that turn, and you attack, and then if they try to attack you, you're like, actually, he's +3,000 still from that, and they don't really expect that. So that's really huge. Getting the security +1, especially, and the +3,000 really helps. So 4 of him is a must, in my opinion. But moving on now to our level 6s, our megas, of course, we've got 3 of the BT10 Wargreymon. So I got the original art here. I just got this brand new alt art and the old alt art. So really love this Wargreymon. He is one of my favorite cards in the game so far. He's got when digivolving, this Digimon gains security attack +1 for the turn. So again, that is kind of integral to our finisher, our OTK here. And then also, this Digimon doesn't activate the security skills on option cards it checks. Huge, very effective power to have. Like, I don't know about you guys, I have a lot of like security control players in my area, so I really, really hate swinging into security and just getting obliterated by all their annoying effects that they have. So 3 copies of him, and then I also have 3 copies of the Wargreymon X Antibody. This guy is also very important, very powerful. I personally prefer this one for the OTK, but you can easily go into this one to extend your turn. That's why I think 3 and 3 is a good ratio for me personally. You can Digivolve him 1 off of a Wargreymon, and all turns, when a card is removed from your opponent's security stack, gain 1 memory, which is amazing. Then he has end of attack once per turn. If Wargreymon or X Antibody is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with DP less than or equal to this Digimon's DP. That's also huge. That really can come in handy if you can't manage to win it that turn. You can just delete whatever, big threat they have, because I guarantee he's probably stronger than anything that they've got on the board at the time. All right, so that's it for the level 6s. Up next, we've got the level 7s. Of course, we've got to have 2 copies of Blitz Omnimon, just Blitz for game. Digivolve, unsuspend, blitz attack. The goal is to swing for 5. Potentially we might have to swing for 4, but as long as we, you know, just play out an Agumon and get just a chip in with that one, we're basically good to swing with 4 if we have to, and then you just Omnimon for game. I'll elaborate a little bit more in a minute, but yeah, Blitz Omnimon at 2, definitely a must-have. And then I also have been loving Omnimon X Antibody at 2. I've seen a lot of people play him at 1. I like to actually get to him. I mean, 1's okay, but 2, you'll a lot better chances of actually using him. I feel like when I was using him at 1 for a while, and I was always like insecurity, or I just never saw him or whatever. So yeah, this guy's amazing. I mean, 16,000 DP, even in security, is really, really nice. So he can evolve for 3 on an Omnimon, and he can also Digivolve for 2 less if you're Digivolving on something with X Antibody in its traits. But then he has this amazing when Digivolving effect that you can return all of your opponent's Digimon with the highest level back to the bottom of their deck. I mean, that's amazing. But the main reason to play him is this other effect he has here that when Digivolving or when attacking once per turn, by placing an X Antibody or a level 6 Digimon from his Digivolution sources at the bottom of your deck, you can look at your opponent's security, choose one of them to trash, shuffle them, and put them back. And basically, if your opponent only has 1 security, you're just going to trash it and attack for game. So the main strategy here is you could be swinging for 4 with one of the Wargreymons. You could then go into Blitz Omnimon to get the unsuspend and attack. And as long as you have X Antibody in your sources, you can then use the when attacking there to go into X Antibody Omnimon to trash their last security and for the attack to go through for game. So that's pretty much the strategy here. So anyway, he's amazing. Before I get ahead of myself, let's take a look at the last few cards here. We've got 2 copies of Tai. This guy is very, very important, obviously, for setting your memory to 3 is actually very important to guarantee your, combos to finish, to go through and attack for game. And the security attack +1 is also very, very important to guarantee you're hitting for 5 checks as well, or at least 4 if you're maybe missing your Greymon there. So sometimes I actually do wish I had 3 of him. That's another one of the things that I'm kind of playing with. Sometimes I want 3, but I don't know. 2 just seems fine most of the time. It's just, occasionally I don't see him and I wish there was a 3rd one. Next up we have Cool Boy. Cool Boy, kind of the same feeling. 2 is fine. I see him enough, but sometimes I want to see him more. Sometimes I wish I had 3 or even 4 of him. Because you get so many ridiculous, plays off of him. Only 2 costs. You get to search the top 3 for an X Antibody Digimon or an X Antibody option, and then you also get to suspend him to gain a memory and draw a card whenever you Digivolve one of your Digimon into a same level X Antibody. So he is also very, very useful as well. And then I've just got 2 copies of Red Memory Boost, of course, just for the consistency. You guys know, just play this, search your top 4, get your red Digimon, and you got the delay to gain 2 memory if you need it. So that's, of course, always useful. Next up, I've also got 2 copies of X Antibody, the option card. I think 2 copies is perfectly fine. I wouldn't want 1. I feel like just 1 would be too little. I feel like 3 or 4 would probably be a little too much. I think 2 is really the sweet spot. Because even if it's in security, it's going to go to your hand. So you don't have to worry too much about that. But even if one is in security, getting it out is great. And you have enough searchers from the Cool Boy and the X Antibody Agumon to be able to find it pretty easily. And a lot of draw power from all the Digivolving you're probably going to be doing. So I think 2 is perfectly fine with that one, even though it can be very integral to finishing off the game sometimes. And last but not least, I just have 1 copy of Crimson Blaze. There's just so many decks nowadays that just spam the field full of little Digimons that, just dropping this thing for like 2 costs to delete everything is great. And then they can't play anything by effect. So this could also be, a 3rd Red Memory Boost if you want. This could be a 3rd Tai, a 3rd Cool Boy. This could be a Gaia Force if you feel like that would be better. For me personally, I'm really liking this. this Crimson Blaze, just even as a one of, it really can come in handy. So that's the deck. Try to move these together here so you can see everything, and I zoomed out a bit. Hopefully you guys can see it all. It was a little bit bigger laying it out now that I look at it. But anyway, yeah, this is a great deck. I've had a lot of fun with it. So the main strategy here is you just start with your Koromon for the plus 1000, Digivolve into this guy for the plus 2000, Digivolve into this guy for the draw 1, and having 2 same levels there is great. Digivolve into the Greymon for the plus 1 security check. Then you're going to want to go into this Greymon here for the, of course, protection. I've also been thinking about putting in a second one of him because, I mean, sometimes it would be nice just to throw him on there for 1. You know, you could actually remove these 2 and still keep the security plus 1, or even just to play him on the tie for a game sometimes would be nice too. I don't know. That's just another one of those things you could play around with. But then you want to go into, ideally, I think this one is great for the piercing. You could, at that point, you want to really keep this in raising until you're at least at Metal Greymon. At that point, you can pull it out safely. You know, you can Digivolve to this one for 0 if you want to delete something, draw another card. Digivolve to this one for 0 to get the additional security plus 1 and the plus 3000. So at this point, you got plus 3000 for the turn. You got plus 1000 here and plus 2000 here. So that's plus 6000 DP. You got plus 1 check, plus 2 checks. Then you're going into your Wargreymon for a plus 3 checks. At this point, I would go ahead and slide my X Antibody underneath and attack with this giant monstrosity here. If you've got a tie on the field, then you're going to be swinging for 5 checks. 1 from, you know, just regular attacking, plus 1 here from the Greymon, plus 1 from the Metal Greymon X, plus 1 from him, plus 1 from Tai. That's 5 checks right there, plus 6000 DP from all of your effects. He's 11,000. You're going to be swinging for 17,000. That's guaranteed. There's like nothing in his security is going to be stronger than that. So it's guaranteed 5 checks for the kill, and then, you know, you're not checking any option cards. So, and even if you did, you've got like 2 different ways of protecting yourself from being deleted there. So if you wanted to, also you could, when attacking, Digivolve into this Wargreymon X Antibody for 1 cost, and then you get a bunch of memory back. When you wipe out all their security, you'd gain 5 security back. Delete something after the attack, and then you just simply Blitz Omnimon for game. And if for some reason you were missing the tie or you're missing the Greymon or something, and you're swinging for 4, if you had that X Antibody under him, you know, you Digivolve to the Omnimon, you unsuspend, you attack, use the when attacking to go into Omnimon X Antibody. He uses his when attacking effect to trash their last security and attack for game. Boom, easy, 1 shot, 1 kill right there. So that's pretty much the main strategy of the deck right there for you. It works great for me. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. How have you guys been doing with this deck? What are your builds like? I'd love to hear about it. And if you guys think there's anything you would change or do differently, of course, let me know. But if you guys enjoyed watching, make sure to smash that like button. It does help me out a lot. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well if you'd like to see some more videos like this. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.